Hello and welcome to Dear Ijay. This is where we add value to your spirit, body, mind, and soul. Please join us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And yes, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember, no pretense, no judgment. This is how it works. People write about a problem or a challenge. We share a summary of their writing and try to help with suggestions. I am a trained psychologist, and combined with human experience, I hope to be of help. Let's go there. Our writing today says, Dear Ijay, I have followed your workshops on intentional parenting. I am only 23 years old. What tips can you give me on intentional parenting? I heard you talk about Sigma. Could you expound on that on your podcast? I felt like you were speaking to me during the workshop I attended. But my question more clearly is, what or how do I discuss parenting with a guy I'm just dating? Wouldn't that scare him away? Thank you. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you, Lillian. I know exactly who this is. I met her in one of the workshops I had facilitated on intentional parenting. And let me answer her question first before I give additional tips. Why are you dating? Why do people date? If you're dating for companionships, you have to address values. What your thoughts are on parenting? How do you believe children should be parented? If you're dating for marriage, definitely. It's when you're dating you have those discussions. How else would you discuss? Are you going to wait till you start parenting with somebody and you're total strangers? You may say, oh, I need my kids to read one book a month. And the person say, which book? Please, they should go and play. This is when you get to talk about it. So please, if talking about parenting chases the person away, it means the person wasn't meant to be there. You should definitely not date with fear in mind. If you are dating somebody where you can't be your complete self, you can't have total conversation, maybe it's just a transient relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. I repeat, there is nothing wrong with transient relationships, provided you know they're transient. That means you're just passing by. However, if you want a serious committed relationship, you should ask serious committal questions. And that's how it's supposed to be. And even the way they answer or react to it is also telling you something. If they brush it on and say, wait, you're rushing me, I'm not trying to be a parent now, it also tells you something. But there's no harm in having discussions that need to be had. So, having said that, I decided to do something different that we've not done. I'm going to give you 25 tips on parenting, intentional parenting, and I hope that I'll be able to expound on some of the things she talked about. You mentioned Sigma. Sigma is SIGMA. It's where I tell people that intentional parenting starts before you become a parent. So it starts with dating. Dating is like dating for marriage, let me put it that way. It's like looking for that half of the bean. You know when you're washing bean for moi moi or akara, it's beans is actually two parts together. So you're looking for the best match of your own part of the bean, so it can be a whole bean. That's the best analogy. So literally each person is walking around with their own seed. So Sigma, S is for seed. So what should you look for in a partner? That's the first one. I don't want to discuss everything because I have workshops on this. Then I is for incubation. Incubation is pregnancy. It talks about how to prepare yourself for pregnancy and the journey, and the fact that children start hearing in utero by 16 weeks. So that matters. Their sex is defined by 20th week, so that matters, and how to incorporate all that. Then the next thing is growth. Human beings grow from day zero, from the day they are born to the day they die. And we usually use Erickson's theory of psychosocial development to explain that during my workshops. And then we have what we call multiplication. That which you pick up as you grow multiplies. And then once you accept it and you're living it, you accelerate it, and that's the A. So that's Sigma. So Lillian, I hope that has satisfied your Sigma curiosity. But you said I should talk more on parenting on my podcast. So for those of you who may not know, you're like, well, I'm a psychologist. And once you are a psychologist in my field, you get licensed in different areas, and I have multiple licenses. So that's why it sounds like I'm really versed, because I really enjoy the field of psychology. Psychology permeates different work sectors, different industries, because it deals with people and pattern of thinking. So having said that, today I'm coming live with parenting tips. So the first one I have here is to even define what parenting is in summary. Parenting is transmission. It is the transmission of values, beliefs, culture, habits, mindsets. So you can see how powerful it is. You're transmitting things to your child. Let me tell you how strong parenting is. Do you know that if you're not born where you're born, you're probably not going to have the identity you have? For instance, I am aware that I'm a Christian because I am born in the southeast part of Nigeria. Now, if I was born in Saudi Arabia, the chances of me having the same identity is slim to none. So that is also why sometimes when people have religious intolerance, whether Christians or Muslim or Hindu, I laugh, because it's almost like you're having intolerance on a subject matter you really have no say in. I have more respect. Sorry to say, I have more respect for people who change their religion as adults, because at least you have some say. But if you're holding on to the same religion you were born into, it's because it was transmitted to you. You learned church, you learned the Bible, you learned Islam, you learned the Quran, because it was transmitted to you. It's not because you chose it. And so I don't see the basis for people fighting other people, but that's matter for another day. Tip 2, talk to and talk with your children. Those are two different things. When you talk to your children, you are teaching them. When you talk with your children, you're listening to them as well. So talking with them is interactive, while talking to them is instructive, and both have their place in parenting. There are some things you shouldn't talk with them about. For instance, if you don't want your child to steal, you say, I don't want you are not allowed to steal in my house. Everything, like my rule in my house about stealing is that if you take something that does not belong to you without permission, you've stolen. So it's a very strict black and white rule. Of course, your children are going to learn about the gray areas of life as they grow, but they don't need to learn the gray areas from you because it causes confusion. They need to learn black and white from you. As they get older, don't worry, the world will teach them all the grays. So having said that, learn to talk to your children when you want to give instructions, and talk with them when you want it to be interactive. That means you give room for questions and answers, make sure they understand you and all of that. And those two are allowed in parenting. Remember, when you're talking with them or to them, number 3 tip is that you're talking to their spirit and not their age. So that explains why sometimes even as an adult, you remember what your mother told you when you were 5, 7, and those times, especially when you're a teenager, it may not even resonate, it may not even land. But as an adult, when you see those things, that's what my father was talking about. Oh, that's what my mother was talking about. Because they were speaking to your spirit and not necessarily your age. Tip number 4, plan, rehearse, and strategize responses to parenting challenges. Please don't feel the pressure of being spontaneous when there's a parenting challenge. It's okay to take time. If mommy and daddy are present, you lock yourself up in your room, come up with a plan, strategize, be intentional. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5, I've mentioned it. Parenting starts with dating. Discuss parenting while you're dating. Say, how can you bring it up? I've already told you what to do about that. If the person is uncomfortable, maybe it's just a transient relationship, you need not talk about that. But be intentional about that. Number 6, women during incubation, we talked about incubation, prepare your body for pregnancy. There are things you can do. Do a physical examination, start eating well, start exercising before you even go into conception. And so, things to bear in mind about incubation. Incubation has spiritual, physical, intentional, nutritional, and kindness basis to it. So when you are pregnant, you need to be aware of the spiritual implication, the physical implication, the intentional demand, the nutritional demand, and please be kind to yourself and others at that time. Of course, I'm not an expert in all things. So for the physical one, you go to your doctor. For your spiritual one, I'm not necessarily talking about religion. I'm talking about the peace of mind that is needed. The connection with your maker, with your creator, is very important at that time because you're transmitting all these things. Nutritionally, if you eat vegetables when you're pregnant, your child will probably, more than likely, enjoy eating vegetables. If you don't, they won't. If you eat a lot of sugar, your child will struggle with inflammation-based diseases because sugar is responsible for inflammation, and so on and so forth. But that's topic for another day. As a parent, tip number 7, reward and punishment. You must master the art of reward and punishment. And punishment need not be about flogging alone. Even if you're a flogger, and let me tell you, if you're a flogger, flogging is most effective from toddlerhood to 6. After 6, you need to engage them in more than that. Even when you're flogging, talk to your child. Because if you don't communicate as a flogger, your child will just look at you as a wicked person. It doesn't mean they got the instructions. It doesn't mean they understand the corrections. So try to communicate. But when I talk about reward and punishment, I mean things like when they're even small. Get stickers, reward them. You did your chores. You verbally reward them by giving them praises and accolades. You can also even put money in their piggy bank. Do things that make them know and understand that good behavior attracts reward.